And welcome to episode number one of War Room. I am Doc, as
And
always, the
and the
king.
King James, yes.
As always, the king. We got no fancy taglines here. This is a
Nope.
different type of show than what you've been used to. Um, we used to do a series called So You Want to Be. Well, the War Room is going to be we're going to expand on this into great length, great detail on everything that one should know. Now, mind you, this is just our personal opinions. Um,
Re-
King James, there, how long have you been in the paranormal field?
Oh hell, let me see. I would say at least 10 years, if not a little longer.
So we've got some time in. I've got 30 years, so we've got a lot of time logged in between the two of us and what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
Now, in the So You Want to Be series, we were talking about how to set up a team, how to run a team, how to be into Bigfoot and cryptids. War Room is going to be everything kind of like integrated because they kind of do run along the same levels. We'll dictate equipment and anything else when we get there on what works for cryptids, which is Dogman, Bigfoot, Loch Ness, all that
Mothman,
stuff,
yeah.
and then ghosts. So we will lump all that up into when it's time to talk equipment. We will define the equipment and tell you our 2 cents on if it works, if it does not. But today we are talking. We're going to start out with research. Why is research important?
Hmm. Well,
If
hell, you
you
need to know what you're walking into. I mean,
exactly. Now, if
basically.
your team is big enough, you should have a research agent, officer, whatever you want to call them, but that their sole job should be getting the history of the place, anything that's big, impressive, um, people of the land. Um,
I would probably even go as far as say maybe a mile or so out away from the property, just to expand it a little bit.
right? Yeah, I mean, there's um, a lot of stuff you need to know when you're going into a situation.
Absolutely.
Uh, One thing that, and I'm gonna have to little poke the bear a little bit at our friends at Paranormal Parkour here a little bit, and they hopefully will know I'm kind of joking around. Um,
Uh,
but they did a skinwalker case, and they were speaking Navajo, where the native tribe was Chinook Wawa. Um, so that this is kind of just a little learning point is if you're going into a situation and you were using a native language, have the proper dialect in the proper area. You'll get more flies with honey.
right.
Um, Now then, when you are researching a building, um, things you want to be on the lookout for is okay. Let's take the Klondike for example. You can track everything in the Klondike if you go through old newspapers. I know the University of Oregon. I don't have the website on me, but they have microfiche. Anytime you want to look for microfiche old newspapers, and you can trace it down as far back as you can go.
Hmm.
Old newspapers reported everything. You can look at the crime scenes. Our local paper out here in St. Helens, Scappoose, it basically told you everything: who owned what blocks, how much of property they owned, when the property changed hands, crime reports, um, what the building was doing throughout the years. I mean, you look through these old newspapers and you could track exactly, okay, the owners owned it from here to here. It was made to here to here. I mean, you're even going to get like, Christmas time adverts, come to St. Helens Hotel for a Christmas dinner. So, I mean, you're able to start tracking things in such a capacity that you can start to put together your own timeline of
Hmm.
events. You'll know, okay, well, for example, how do we know that the McCormicks and the Muckles were having a family squabble? Well, McCormick's owned the Klondike, and every Christmas, as long as they owned it, they put out a Christmas dinner advert. We're going to have a big Christmas Eve party, and we're going to have a lot of food. Well, the Muckles would also put out the same advert in the paper talking about their Christmas party and all the food and everything that's going to happen. So you get, starting times. You've got, I mean, you could track a lot of things down in the newspapers itself.
It's the who of St. Helens.
It's the who in St. Helens, but I think you can find that pretty much anywhere if you started looking and really dug.
Absolutely.
But the more information you got on a building, a situation, okay, so we got our old newspapers. Go to your local city hall. See what you can find out there. A lot of cities have their own local historical society
Or museums.
or museums. And a lot of those people will talk for hours on end. If you walk in the door and say, hey, what can you tell me about the McLaughlin House? Also talk to other investigators on what the history is, because a lot of these people are, say, for example, the McLaughlin House, uh, Oregon City. You've got a bunch of investigators that basically have lived there forever, their own personal investigations and everything else.
Hmm.
Um, they're going to know everything about the building. They're going to know
Absolutely.
dates, times, everything. So those would be people that you would want to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, just I don't know. What's your two cents on that?
Yeah. I mean, the research. Yeah. Talk to. Yeah, like you're saying, other research or investigative teams. I mean, because most places, there could be multiple teams investigating. I mean, the McLaughlin House. There's even stuff to say down in Astoria. There's been multiple teams down there that have investigated like the undergrounds, and we know a particular one. Just anywhere. I believe right now, a good example is the that one down south, the Wolf Creek Inn.
Yeah,
There's multiple teams there right now, and that place has a long history of hauntings and of that nature. So I would bet each and every one of those teams has done some sort of research, digging into local news events, the papers, like you're saying, um, anywhere. I mean, if you got a neighbor, that's been next to wherever you're going to be investigating, maybe they might have some insight. Yeah, just wherever you can drum up information to get the museums. Yeah. Yeah, just all out. I mean, you know more places of hidden research than I do. I have a research person on my team, so wherever she gets her information, again, there's also online. Just anywhere on the internet, anybody could search that,
oh yeah. I mean,
and you can go, but that probably can only go so far. And
right.
then obviously that's where boots on the ground, getting your hands a little dirty and going and looking for that microfiche newspaper articles and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, well, I believe G.I. Joe said it best, knowing is half the battle.
Right?
And that's the thing is you that's why we're doing a whole half hour on just research is you gotta know everything, or somebody on the team has to know everything.
Absolutely.
For example, we did the Columbia Heights Elementary School last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we were able to, I mean, there wasn't a lot of information on the school available. We had to really pull in some resources to get it. But, if we had not known more than we did going in when we initially got the case, I think we would have been lost.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, guaranteed, we did not find. Okay, what if you can't find your building in the libraryofcongress.com newspapers or the University of Oregon newspaper file? What if you can't find that? What if your local historical society has minimal information on it? What would you do then? City Hall might have a good record.
I was going to say City Hall, but
yeah. I know in St. Helens City Hall, because my sister-in-law works for St. Helens City Hall, they do have a lot of records on tap that you can look up a lot on the current building where, owners, build times, a lot of that's for permits. So if you're like living in the Columbia Heights School and you're trying to go and improve it, and you're filling out all your building permits and everything, they need to know, okay, well, this was built in the 1800s. It needs to be up to code. Okay, well, let me look at my records. Yes, it was brought up to code in '92.
Right.
But definitely you gotta know everything before you walk into a situation.
Oh yeah, it's not a good idea to walk in blind. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, except for your psychic. If you have a team psychic on, they should know nothing about anything.
Right.
And that's going to be a little bit of an early one, but we're going to go ahead and throw that in. If you have a team psychic, your team psychic should know absolutely nothing. They should just have an address and told, show up here at this time. That way you're not debunking your evidence ahead of time. You don't want your psychic walking into a situation going, oh, this building was built in 1846 and it was owned by Tim and Martha and they were farmers. No, that psychic's already going to know way too much going into the situation. Just come to 123 Apple Road at 8 p.m. on Friday and tell us what you feel.
Right. And actually, I'm kind of doing that for this weekend. This Tillamook, I got my psychic gonna hit that, so doesn't know nothing.
I'm sure anybody else who's watched Unleash is like, wow, there's no music, there's no nothing cool. This is stripped. This is a stripped down.
Yeah, a little more serious.
A little bit more serious, a little bit more stripped down.
Wait till later.
Because we want the information to speak for itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, anyhow, history books, another good thing.
Now, I do know, I don't know how you do it. I know how I do it, but is it a good recommendation to do all research beforehand, during, or after?
What I found with, say, Pisgah Home is I did the initial research, got what I thought we needed. We did the initial investigation. We got more stuff. Then I went down the rabbit hole and I built that giant folder. And I would say if it's a case that you're going to always be able to go back and revisit, then you could probably dig back in the rabbit hole a little bit more, get a little bit more stuff dug out.
So kind of, multiple times.
Yeah.
Before, during, after. And then in the case of the Pisgah home, I don't think there's going to be an after. It's just going to keep going and going and going.
It's just going to keep going. Yeah. For anybody that wants to know the Pisgah home, it's on the YouTube channel, and we're talking about going back next year at night for an investigation. We're insane.
Yes. Because I know for like me, for example, I've done a couple cases where I've done research first, and then on a case or two, I've done research at the end. So for me, I mean, I like to do the research beforehand. It just happened that on those other cases, it ended up being at the end, which was, one of those where I wish I would have had that information before going in. So that's why you try to do research beforehand. So I mean, I would recommend that, obviously.
I would personally say if you're going into an investigation, the least amount of data you should have is the date it was built. If you're
Yep.
investigating a building, know the date that it was built,
Mm-hmm.
who built it, anything significant that happened there,
Absolutely.
how it changed hands, if it closed down for a while, was it left abandoned for a while. Try to get like, and I call it the basics, but it's really kind of like, it's a roadmap to success.
For sure.
If you can get your basics down and you can walk in and you're asking a spirit, what year was this built? And the spirit comes back, say 1855. Well, you've got your little sheet of data and you go, okay, well,
Pretty close, if not right on.
now we got a match. Can you tell us who you are? The spirit comes back, says Francis. Okay, so was there anybody important named Francis that lived in the house? And you could scan through your information and go, okay, well,
just not live there, but also could have passed away there.
Could have passed away there. Was it something? I mean,
Yep.
You're trying to get as much. Okay, say you're doing a hospital and you get Francis, and we know that definitely there wasn't a Francis who built the place. So you've got your basic information. You go into the investigation. You get Francis. It's a big hospital, old folks home, senior center, care center, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now you can take that and go, okay, well, we're getting Francis, but it's not jiving with anything. Now we can go back in and go, okay, maybe if we check patient records. Now you check the patient's records and you find out there was a Francis who had passed away there. So now you can go 1 + 1 = 2.
But
Now
what if you do if there's more than one Francis there that had passed away in a hospital?
Well, hopefully you've got enough information from the Francis that you can start to match it.
Just trying to make it clear here.
Well, that's like on our ghost walks. We stop the Masonic. We've got Frank.
Mm-hmm.
It took us a few cases going back to identify Frank as he was killed on a tugboat collision out front of the river.
Right.
And that was him giving a name, him giving the ship's name. And then, we started to piece that together because it's like, okay, well, this was a doctor's office once upon a time with the Masonic temple above. So, on our first investigation, we got Frank and we didn't correlate what it was. We had everything else about the building. We didn't know what Frank was. The second time we went in, it was like, okay, Frank, are you here? Can you tell us a little bit more? And it said Dix, D-I-X, which was the tugboat's name that he died upon. So we were able to get more information because he had no real association with that building except for the fact that the deceased from the tugboat cruise were taken to that building.
Yeah.
So he probably just latched onto the building and hung out there forever. So, but yes, sometimes your research is going to, when you've done your research, you've gone to an investigation, you get more stuff from the investigation that you have to go back and do more research and try to figure out what does this have to do with this. And then the more you do, the more you'll find out that, hey, maybe it is all connected somewhere, somehow, in a weird sort of way.
Right. And that's kind of like a good, for example, for me with this location I'm going to do Saturday, we've done a good chunk of research now, and I'm already anticipating this being a two, maybe three investigations, and whatever we get come Saturday, if that's information we don't necessarily have, that gives us something to go back and look in this case, the Pioneer Museum is a good location out there, the City Hall, all that stuff again, to see if what we got in that investigation matches with, further research. And
Yeah,
so
I mean,
then you could take that back to another investigation if it tends, like I think this one will be multiple, and you can go back and try to clear things up.
yeah, because sometimes when you do one investigation, you're not going to get everything that you need.
No.
I mean, Klondike, Masonic Lodge, uh,
Right, and
where-
that's the thing, most investigations, maybe some teams will get that one and done, and they can get all the research that they got, fits that. But then there's those others that have multiple times going back to a same location. It just, that's how it is. If activity's picking up and you're getting information from that, and then you're figuring it out, and maybe Joe Blow in real life is just a total a-hole, and he's you figuring he's a even bigger one in death.
yeah.
It's
Well, I mean, as for cryptids, so because War Room is equally divided between ghosts and cryptids,
mhm.
how does research affect cryptids? There's lots of things online to talk about sightings, so people can put in their own sightings. You got the big PFRO.
That's the big organization.
That's the big Bigfoot organization.
Mhm.
Then there are some other websites you can look up where people can start tagging themselves and their case. I mean, it
Yeah,
even goes with
there's
UFOs.
there's local organizations wherever you live that have some sort of something for cryptids. I know there's some down south for Oregon I've seen. So um, yeah, just uh, the online, just wherever you do your research, or if you hear of somebody and you don't see them online or whatnot, you can go, speak with them. I mean, I'm not even gonna bring up his name, but the guy out in Boring, you
Yeah,
know, uh, he has some experience with the cryptids, the Sasquatch, so to speak. But yeah,
yeah.
I
But
mean,
well,
yeah,
like for example, we are going to be doing a Squatch investigation out in Malala, which is home to our one and only and a awesome the beard, the man, the myth, the legend with the beard, Josh. He
the
lives in
puppy
Malala.
hugger,
Huh?
the puppy hugger.
The puppy hugger.
He wants to hug the puppies. All
He wants to hug all the puppies.
right, back to
Um,
serious.
so there have been sightings out in Malala. So we've never been to Malala.
No,
Josh has. Well, we're going to look on all the websites that have to do with anything reporting, and then we're going to start to plan accordingly. The same with Mount Hood. I mean, I know everybody wants to go to Mount Hood and do an investigation. Well, Can't just roll into Mount Hood and go, okay, where are we going to go? So now that's where the research comes into place.
Yeah, you gotta
So
have for that. You really have to have a game plan.
yeah, I mean, so that's why research is the first topic for the first episode. Is get the game plan together like a good battle strategy. Hence, War Room. Know before you go everything that's possible that may happen, could happen. You're doing
Will happen.
cryptids, will happen. If you're doing cryptids, know the history of the location. If you can find hiking maps, if you're going to Mount Hood or any place that actually has a hiking map up,
Right.
know
Map.
everything before you go.
Yeah, the
Plan
maps.
accordingly.
Maps. All reports and sightings. You don't want to walk into an area blind and, oh, hey, there was a sighting like 2 days ago, and you're just gonna walk right in there and, hey, he's right there. That was really, but yeah, pay attention to your surroundings if you're doing the cryptids and going out, looking for Sasquatch and whatnot. Because one, you want to be safe. Two, you want to come back alive. Nothing's more important than your life for that. It'd be awesome if you actually got evidence, sightings, or any evidence to substantiate the reports that you've seen and read or encountered.
Yeah, but to quote G.I. Joe yet again, knowing is half the battle. Know it before you go it.
Yeah.
And we're discussing this as you're a new paranormal team. You're getting ready to go to do something. This is before you even load the car with your gear. This is before you even get in the car to go to the site. Know as much as you can, or have somebody on your team know as much as they possibly humanly can. Put it in a notebook.
Yeah.
Print it out.
I mean, obviously, if it's for cryptids and stuff, because I know how you are in doing the research, and you do the research, but we don't go out like the next day or two.
No.
You got to plan out when is the best time to do that. And you've already pretty much nailed that down for the area we've been in.
Yeah, because I mean, for those watching, what I did was I took all the publicly reported sightings. I took our sightings. I took the dates, the times for ours, everybody else's, the eyewitnesses we talked to.
Time of year, I mean, it's important too.
Yeah, but we mapped it out and went, okay, we know these guys are here on this date, and 6 years later, I don't think we've ever really been wrong on their migration patterns.
No, absolutely not.
I think we're pretty much right on the money where to find them, when not to go to certain areas, when to go to certain areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I mean, yeah, and for ghost investigations, it's kind of like the same deal. You get all your ducks in a row. Don't say, okay, I'm going to do the research this day, and then the next day, get out there and do that investigation, because it really doesn't work that way. I mean, you're going to let me take a step back. Unless there's children involved. If there's children involved, then yeah, I would speed up the date of the investigation in time.
Yeah, if it's a demonic source, then that's also where research is going to play in effect. That
absolutely.
Then you got to call in your clergy and do your homework, and then you get ready to go.
Then there's more. Yeah, then there's more work into getting that all set up and to go. But yeah, just don't think it's a jump into research, then jump right into an investigation that quick. It's never that quick.
Yeah.
Well, not for me. Yeah. I mean, it hasn't happened for me that way anyway. And I'm pretty sure 30 plus years of experience with you, it was never that way.
Yeah. No, it's always know is more than you know. Know more than you need to do before you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm kind of like crazy because I have a little bit of time on my hands. So I try to even
Right.
find building plans, anything else I can get my hands on, just so we
So,
can start analyzing.
right. So between the time of doing your research and then hitting the ground on the investigation, how long do you usually take between the two?
In a perfect world, I would say about a week minimum.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can do your research during that week. So say somebody calls you on a Friday, you're going to do the next Friday investigation or cryptid expedition. Um, gives you a week to get as much information, lay of the land, lay of the building, ownership, by yada, yada, yada,
Right.
and then hit it. If this is a demonic case and a family is in trouble, I would say if you get the call on a Friday, I would try to make that cram session, get as much information as you can, and then get in there to help out on probably the next day or 2 days as soon as you can get in.
Yeah, I agree with that demonic part. And for me, for my from research to hitting, it's generally about a week and a half. So I'm like right in there, you know, give or take. So,
Well, I think we've covered research, so we're going to go ahead and get out of here
all right.
and set up for Unleashed in 25 minutes.
All right.
All right, so thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll post up the next topic for next week's War Room. Bye, everybody.
Nice.